Hi kids, Pastor Josh here. I'm sorry we can't meet in person right now, but until we can again, here's some stories to keep you occupied. Now, a little background to help you understand a few things about this story real quick. In the days of Jesus, Israel, the land he lived in, was not an independent country. That means it didn't rule itself, not like America does nowadays. They were under the control of a much larger country known as the Roman Empire. Now, Rome kept all of the other smaller countries that were part of its empire in check through three main ways. One was the Roman army. While not necessarily undefeated, they were still considered the best army in the world at that time, and nobody really wanted to mess with them. So, that was step one. Next way that they kept the other countries under their control was through officials, administrators, whether they were actual Romans who were sent in to take over and rule a given area, or if they managed to get people who are already in control of that area to pledge allegiance to Rome, they kept people in control through that way. The third and final way that Romans kept a hold of the various peoples and countries that they conquered were tax collectors. Now, I'm sure some of you have probably heard your parents talking about taxes. Usually maybe say it almost wanting to spit the word out, something like that, right? Well, nobody really likes paying taxes. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with what a tax is, it's money you pay the government. Now, taxes aren't necessarily bad. I mean, it gives the government the money it needs to fund our armed forces to protect us, to fund hospitals and schools and other good stuff like that. The issue in Jesus' day, though, was the Roman method of hiring tax collectors. You see, the Israelite people did not like tax collectors because they were people from Israel that were hired by the Romans. The Israelites never liked it when another country came in and took them over. So these people that willingly went to work for Rome, they, at least to the Israelite sense of pride, were considered traitors. But as if that wasn't bad enough, most of the people who worked as tax collectors in Jesus' day weren't honest about it. It was actually kind of common for tax collectors to charge double or even triple what they were supposed to, send Rome what Rome expected, and then keep all the rest for themselves. Essentially, it was a way of stealing, but since these guys were officials of the Roman government, there was nothing that could be done about it without getting yourself in trouble. Now, one of these guys was a man named Zacchaeus. Now, he was a big shot amongst the tax collectors. He was actually the chief tax collector of the city of Jericho. Now, one day, Zacchaeus gets word that Jesus is on his way to Jericho. Everybody has heard about Jesus by now, the wandering teacher who performs miracles. Zacchaeus thinks to himself, I gotta see this guy. I gotta see what all this hubbub is about. Here's the thing. Zacchaeus is short. So he gets to where Jesus is coming along, and everyone else in the crowd is head and shoulders taller than him. He cannot see Jesus whatsoever. So he looks around, looking for a way that he can get an eye on Jesus. And that's when he sees it. Just on the side of the road is a sycamore tree. So he rushes over to the tree and climbs up it so that he can see Jesus. But as Jesus is walking down the road, just as he comes to the sycamore tree, he stops, looks up, and says right to Zacchaeus, "Come down from there, because today I gotta spend time at your house." So Zacchaeus flabbergasted that this guy would want anything to do with him, comes down out of the tree and leads Jesus and his disciples to his house. The whole time, though, the crowd around them sees Jesus going to the house of Zacchaeus, and they start to mumble and grumble and say, "Why in the world is Jesus going to spend time with that guy? With that crook?" Well, Jesus once said, "I've not come to help those who are doing well, but to help those in need." It's not the healthy that need a doctor, but the sick. Those that need Jesus the most are the ones living in the dark, the ones that need the light of Christ. And that's exactly what Jesus was doing. He went to Zacchaeus' place to talk to him, to help him see where he'd gone wrong. And as Zacchaeus spent time with Jesus, he realized just how bad he'd gotten. And by the time that they were done with their conversation, Zacchaeus said, "From this day forward, half of everything I own I'm giving to the poor. And if I've ever cheated anyone, I'm going to pay them back 4 times as much." Now that's some turnaround, isn't it? And that is our lesson for today. Jesus, he comes in, he helps us see where we've gone wrong in our lives. But he does expect us to repent and make up for it. When we've done something wrong to others, Jesus wants us to go and make amends for it. He's going to forgive us when we ask to be forgiven. But he still expects us to go and ask others to forgive us. And if we've done something wrong to them, most of the time he does want us to find a way to make it right. But you never have to be afraid of doing that, because he's going to be with you the whole time.